about this. Father in heaven, we just thank you again for the day you give us. Just thank you for all the things you've done in Catoosa County, all the things you're going to do. Visit our fire and police, and our soldiers as they take this great nation. Visit all the decisions we make, that we're making in the best interest of the people in the county. And we just thank you for all the things you're going to do. Amen. Salute, pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Technical difficulty. Chad, can you call the roll unless it's working?
I'll be happy to.
Let's do that.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Cutler.
Here.
Chairman Henry.
Here.
Mr. Winters.
Here.
Mr. Long.
Here.
Thank you. This time, are there any items to add or remove from the agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as is?
So moved. Second.
All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Everyone had a chance to look over the minutes, and if so, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from 7/3/18?
So moved. Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. At this time, we'll move on to public appearances. Is there anybody here that would like to speak? Okay. This time, we'll move on to administrative fiscal matters. Starting out with Jeremy Bryson on proposed approval of funding committee.
Mr. Chairman, the Chattanooga Hamilton County North Georgia Metropolitan Planning Organization began accepting applications for the Highway Infrastructure Project Program, and it requires a 20% match. So what we're looking for is a commitment for the 20% match. This would be federal money that we would be getting. The federal share of that would be $210,320, and a local match on our end of $52,580 for a project estimate of $262,900. If approved, we want to utilize these funds for upgrading our striping on a lot of our federally qualified roads that we just resurfaced. We want to go to a thermoplastic instead of paint, because you're going to get about double the life.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Now, this is that grant that Carl with Lester went to Chattanooga got us. Carl, is this one you got from Chattanooga? Keep it up. Let's work the trip up there with
Pay for the trip,
you. Does anybody have any questions?
Did you give us any specific roads?
Yeah, we have a project list. I didn't, it's the application part of it right now, so there may be some changes. But we're basically looking at most of our main roads: Cherokee Valleys, Poplar Springs, Three Notch, Deets, the other end of Deets, the stuff that we haven't really put thermal on. And most of our roads that we're going for moving forward, we're putting the thermoplastic on there. So that way we can keep the pavement markings up with the quality of the road that we're getting.
That's a lot of compliments with that thermal plastic.
Yeah.
On rider.
About how many miles will this be?
Looking at somewhere around 30 center line, we'll put us up around 60 lane miles. But like I said, this is just the application process, so depending on, this is part of it to get the commitment, and then depending on if anybody else applies, that may cut into some of our funds, so we may have to adjust some of it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Jeremy, you're up again.
The next item I have is for a matching fund for a current project that we are in the process of moving forward on. The state received bids a couple weeks ago, and we're at the 20% matching part of it. The federal share of it was $1,135,305.43, and tonight we are requesting a 20% match fund of that of $283,826.36 for a total project cost of $1,419,131.79. If approved, the match will go for the project that's going to repair Red Belt Road, Poplar Springs Road that runs in front of Heritage Middle School, and Hoover Road. And the state of Georgia is going to be actually administrating the project, so.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Questions?
Haven't we already approved that through Georgia? Through the Hoover Road?
Well, it's probably during a application process. This is for the actual funding.
So this would be in addition to,
No,
this is part of the.
it's the same, it's the same.
I got the application.
Yeah, they're seeking the actual matching funds now, so we need to provide them that dollar amount.
Will this be done, the road paved this year?
Yes. They have it till like a November 30th completion date a lot of times, but depending on this process and theirs, sometimes it gets pushed back a little bit further. But I'm looking for it to be this year.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Dennis, come on up.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. How are you this evening?
Good.
Thank you.
I've got the unique opportunity to be here tonight, not only on behalf of 911 Emergency Management, but also on behalf of the Sheriff's Office and the Fire Department. So we all utilize Motorola radios made by the Motorola Corporation, which is one of the largest producers of public safety radio systems in the country. We're all part of the Tennessee Valley Radio Authority, and that's a system that at some point way back when that they decided to go with and have been using for a long time. Our mobile radios, which are in the vehicles, and our portable radios, which are used by all four agencies, are approaching their end of life, end of useful life. Some of the radios will be no longer serviceable after December of this year, and some of them are after December of next year. I had a meeting today with the radio folks, and they're already finding extreme difficulty in finding parts for some of the portables at this time. So what we're asking for is the beginning of a replacement program that may take, and each department's got a little bit different replacement program in place, but this is the first year of what's going to be a multi-year replacement program. On behalf of the EMA and 911, this will be funds coming from our operational budget for the Sheriff's Office, and the Fire Department will be funds coming from the 2014 SPLOST. Excuse me. We took a little bit different approach, and I think what's been done in the past is we worked all together with Motorola, and we also included the cities within the county working because they're on the same boat we are. So we worked together to try to get the best price we could to do a mass purchase at one time so we could get the best pricing we could. The pricing we have is state contract pricing, and it's coming directly from Motorola. So what I'm asking for this evening on behalf of the four departments is the approval of the quotes that have been presented for the beginning of the replacement program.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Question?
First off, I think the sheriff will become responsible, not instead of the, or that correct? The sheriff will become responsible.
Yes, rather than.
Yes, sir, that's a change that was made today, and I apologize, the paperwork is not correct. Yes, sir.
And on this 911 emergency, whose radios are in? Who will they? Fire department?
No, sir, those are the radios in the 911 center. We have, our main radio is a computer-based radio, but our backup to that are, our 3 backup systems are actually mobile portable radios, and those are the ones we're looking to replace.
That's the 9.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
What was the total amount?
It's just, I can tell you, it's $168,000,
Okay.
$168,989.40 from the 4 departments. So,
Turn it back to sheriff.
What it will be done is
What it will-
Yeah, his will be coming from his, absolutely. Yeah, that's the total amount. His will be coming from his splosh, fire will be coming from their splosh budget. My 2 departments will come from their respective operational budgets.
How far will that get us into the change out?
For 911, it'll give me almost 100% through 911. For emergency management, I'm probably at least another year to 2 years to be able to finish that. Chief, I can't speak for the other departments. I know the sheriff's department also goes a long way in helping them with the new staff that they hired. Chief, I don't know how far that gets you in your replacement.
Probably about 20%.
I think realistically, it'll probably take us probably 3 to 4 years to make a complete change out.
no.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Ms. Ann?
Well, I'm not requesting money. I'm just here requesting a change to policy section 1707 in the personnel handbook to include verbiage consistent with the new HB 673 Hands-Free Georgia Act. Hands-free is already currently in our policy. However, I want the verbiage to be consistent with the actual act in itself, so that's all I'm going to be changing. So I just need approval for that.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And that's just to get us compliant with the new hands-free law of the state of Georgia.
Right, it was already in policy for our employees, but obviously now it's a violation of law, so not just policy, but law too.
So we're gonna get all the county vehicles
Yes,
hands-free?
yes,
Okay.
yes. They'll all have stands in them so they can put their phones, and then they'll have Bluetooth connections. So,
Yes.
Mine already done this. You did do them, anybody that you could look at it.
yes, yes, the process, every department, we had a meeting before the law actually passed, and they were instructed to go ahead and start the Bluetooth process at that time.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for not asking for money. Chief Kent?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good afternoon. We have a accidental sickness policy that's up for renewal August 1st. For several years, Catoosa County has provided accidental sickness policy for insurance for volunteer firefighters in career. The policy was originally taken out when most of the firefighters were volunteer. Now it's kind of reversed. We have more career than volunteers. So what we're asking is to keep the coverage for the volunteer firefighters at a cost of $3,099 and drop the coverage for the career firefighters at $17,900. And I'll explain that just a little bit. We originally, one reason we kept this policy in force is that workers' comp and our disability policy only covered the firefighters on a 40-hour work week, and they work a 54-hour work week. So they have that built-in overtime, which was really, the supplemental helped them. And with working with Ann Kane, we have worked with workers' comp and the disability to bring the pay up to the 54-hour work week. And we've had one on disability, and he was drawing what he's supposed to, that $575 a week. So with the supplemental, gives them actually more money, not that that's a bad thing, but it's more money than what they were making originally. So, I think the intent of everybody is to make sure that the firefighters are covered, they have enough money to pay bills and not lose a car. And so we do have the coverage, and the 66% of workers' comp too is not taxable. So that's pretty good there. But we have got it up to the 54-hour work week where they pay based on that instead of the 40. The supplemental was paying for that difference. So that's why I'm asking today just to renew the policy for the volunteers.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Questions? So basically, the full-time firefighters will get the benefit through a different source. We're just talking through a regular volunteer.
That's correct. That's correct. The careers, that. And the reason we cover the volunteers is this is supplemental for their job. So that way, if they get hurt as a volunteer firefighter, they're receiving workers' comp.
Right.
Volunteer receives workers' comp, but it's only based on what the average industrial person would work is what they base that on, because they're not receiving pay as a salary. So it's a little lower. But you could have a firefighter who's a banker, or just using that as an example, and he's making $50,000 a year. Obviously couldn't make on the 20, so this supplemental, pays them up to only $400 a week, but at least it gives them a supplemental to their regular salary in case they get hurt as a firefighter for us. So I think it's imperative that we keep it on the volunteer end.
Yes, sir. Now, does this give the paid firefighters the same coverage like the drug department and have like that?
Actually, this brings them up exactly to what all the other employees are getting, yes. Absolutely. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. It wasn't when they were paid everything at a 40-hour basis, but now through short-term disability, workers' comp, and everything, we've got the firefighters back up to the 53 hours per week is what they work. And so then it would make them, it'd be 66 and 2/3% of their pay for every employee.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion,
Thank you.
Good job. That's Gary Alter, appreciate you wearing that line. Now, we've had two in a row that didn't ask for money. Are you going to break the streak?
No, I'm breaking this for all of you guys. Commissioners Long, Winters, Cutler, Johnson, Chairman Henry. First of all, let me just tell you that it's a privilege to serve Catoosa County as a tax commissioner. It's always an honor for me when I'm traveling throughout the state and training and other to represent our county. Tonight I'm here in request for increased revised budget of $19,543 to upgrade the capabilities to utilize the new system that the state is going to be installing on May the 27th, 2019. This system is a Windows-based system, more friendly to interface with. The current system we're using today for motor vehicle is 80s version green screen, F19, F1. Anybody remember that? Old enough to remember those things? Well, that's what we have today, and it does not interface with any mobile devices of that nature. This project was undertaken around 2015 by DOR, looking at many different products they've utilized. They chose a company by the name of Fast Enterprises. Package they chose is what they call COTS product. It's 80% fixed and 20% that we customize to the state of Georgia. It is being utilized currently now in 10 states throughout our country, all successful. This will be the biggest, largest, ambitious project that Georgia's ever taken on. We're going to be cutting 159 counties at once on one day. I've never seen that done before, but they say they can do it, so we'll see if they can. Pretty much, that's about it. If you guys want more information, I certainly have that on the webpage. You can visit DOR and Georgia Steel and their commissioner can explain that very detailed, maybe much more than I can. We began our pricing of this upgrade that they sent to us, a complete list of requirements. We passed that on to Ringo Telephone Company who provided us with the initial cost to upgrade our current systems to accept it. There is a portion that we're not doing it this year, and that is the scanners. That is going to be saved for next year, since the state, I felt the state should pay for this and not put the burden on the counties. And I think I spoke to many of you guys early in the year. They have postponed a portion of that, which is the scanner portion, until next year, in hopes that we'll receive some funding from the state to cover that. But that's the smallest portion for our upgrade. It's only consists of about $5,500 or so. But the scanner itself will save the county. Like today, I shipped 19 pounds of tablets, which is 2 boxes, and it cost us $22. So to do that $22 for 251 days that we're in office each year, that's about $5,500 in shipping that we save once we go to a scanner system. But I really believe the system is a foundation and a fundamental change that will deliver us a new way of delivering service to our customers, their end users. So that's all I have for you. Any questions?
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any questions?
This almost certainly, that's my day, they have everything running. We will begin, we're probably the leanest county surrounding us with personnel. We have 13 employees, including myself. We were not able to send anyone to training in the what we call subject matter experts. These people's been in training since January. I've had one person in Walker County, one person in Whitford County that has gone through it and is still there. We're going to utilize them since they're so close to us to assist us in any needs that we have. We plan on spending once we get the system upgraded, I'd say within a month, we can go live on the drive system and be able to have a separate system we can actually run work through. For instance, we plan on putting about 100 hours of training in per person. What they'll actually do is take a half a day's work and then run it through this duplicate system in the evening. That will hopefully make them more efficient when we go live on the 27th to see if there's any problems that we're going to have. Because we don't want any problems on the 27th.
But this change is mandated by the state, am I correct?
That's
So
correct.
we really have no choice.
No, sir. And that's why I asked you guys to help me get funding for us, so we wouldn't have the burden. But we've been successful doing that. So. Thank you very much.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
This stuff over there.
we're fortunate to have Shirley Smith with us here today with the Catoosa County Citizens for Literacy, a group that she's founded and run now for how many years? 20-something years. If you will recall, the Learning Center purchased a bus for use at the Learning Center. They use the bus in connection with the services they provide to citizens of the county. They provided 100% of the money to purchase that bus. Well, that bus has won out, and now they want to purchase a 2018 Starcraft All-Star 18-passenger bus. This bus is going to cost $56,270. All of that money will be paid by the Learning Center through contributions that have been made through the efforts of the Learning Center. So the county is not going to be out any money. As we did with the previous bus, we will take title to the bus in the name of Catoosa County. We will provide maintenance for the bus, and we will insure the bus under our automobile automobile policy that's in place. We are asking the Board of Commissioners tonight to go ahead and pay for the bus or issue the purchase order. And then when the bus arrives, we will be reimbursed by the Learning Center. We're also asking the board to declare the old bus as surplus and authorize it to be sold. The purchase price of the old bus will be deducted from the price of this bus as the amount that the Learning Center pays.
Do I have a motion? Motion.
Second.
Any questions? Start out, thank you for all your hard work. Time y'all want to give a free vehicle for him? I think.
Unless nasty was.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to report on the ninth month of the current fiscal year. We're now 75% through the current fiscal year. Revenue before other financing sources and operating transfers for the 9 months ended June was $20,447,000, or 79.1% of budget. Therefore, it exceeded the budgeted revenue by $1,069,000, or 5.5%. Revenue was favorable to prior year, $1,170,000, or 6.1%. Expenditures before other financing uses and operating transfers out for the 9-month period were $17,844,000, 72% of budget. Therefore, less than budgeted expenditures by $734,000, or 3.9%. Expenditures were unfavorable to prior year, $695,000, or 4.1%. After other financing sources and uses and operating transfers out, revenue exceeded expenditures $2.3 million, favorable to budget $2.3 million, and favorable to prior year $645,000. And here again, the revenue exceeded the budget by $1.1 million, and the expenditures were less than budget by $1.2 million. So they're pretty well split between favorable revenue and favorable expenditures.
Great, thank you. This time we have no old business, we'll move into new business. James?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first case I have is case number 1261-18. The applicant, D.L. Rowe Jr., has requested the property be rezoned from A1 to R3 for development purposes. Property is located on tax map 21D, parcel 44. The property would be developed into a residential community consisting of around 135 to 140 lots. The request was granted by the Planning Commission on June 26, 2018 with a vote of 4-0.
Everyone here for or against on this case? Would like to speak? Yeah, I'd like to speak. Come on.
Good evening, Mr. Commissioner and Commissioners. My name is Hoyt Lance, and I'm with the LHM Group, here tonight representing the D.L. Rowe Jr. property for rezoning. I have retained 2 professionals that will speak for me tonight. The first one is Mr. Brandon Boland with Jenkins & Mullins PC, and then Mr. Mike Price with MAP Engineering. And if I may introduce Mr. Boland to to speak, please.
Good evening. I'm Brandon Bowen. I'm a lawyer. My office is at 15 South Public Square, Cartersville, Georgia. I haven't had the pleasure of coming up here before, so I thank you for the opportunity. I represent Mr. Lance, LHM Group, and your applicants in this case. This case presents a rezoning request for a residential development off of Moore Road. It has twice been before the Planning Commission. The first time it went to the Planning Commission, the request was actually to rezone to RTZ, and the Planning Commission at that time asked the developer to consider doing an R3 instead, and we went back to the drawing board literally and said, yes, we can do this as an R3. So it came back to the Planning Commission last month as an R3 development, and that was approved for nothing. So we're happy to be here and happy to present. I earlier this evening sent Mr. Patty a letter and gave you each a copy of it. The purpose of that letter is to go through the standards of exercise and zoning power in your ordinance. I'm not going to read that letter to you right now. I am going to focus on just one paragraph, which I think is important. We think all those standards support this rezoning, but the key paragraph I'd like for you to consider is the fact, this is number 5, the fact that this rezoning application is squarely consistent with your comprehensive plan. This area is zoned or designated as a future character area as suburban neighborhood on your future land use map. And I actually attached copies of the map and the key provisions just so you have it right here in front of you. So we look at the comprehensive plan, and I'm talking about your 5-year update that was about just a couple of years ago, and it states that the intent of the suburban neighborhood character area is to, and I'm quoting here, create new suburban neighborhoods to improve the quality of life with an increased sense of place and community. And it lists the compatible zoning districts as R1, R3, R4, PUD, and conservation subdivisions. So when we're asking for an R3, we're squarely in what your comprehensive plan says is the right thing to develop on this property. Moreover, the comprehensive plan indicates that the desired density is between 1 and 4 units per acre. And as Mr. Price will explain to you, and we'll show you on his preliminary plat he's put together, the development we're proposing is going to be 2.7 units per acre. So squarely within what your comprehensive plan says is appropriate for this district. We think we've got a good product here, and we're looking forward to move forward with it. And with that said, unless you have any questions for me, I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Price. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike Price, MAP Engineers. If it pleases the Commission, I'd like to pass these site plans out to each of you. So the plan that's being passed out for you shows the plan that passed at Planning Commission. And again, that was unanimous 4-0 as far as the vote goes. This particular plan, a couple things that we'd like to point out as it relates to the plan. First of all, we did look at this several different ways. The first plan that came before the Planning Commission did have an RTZ. We then listened to what the Planning Commission stated, which was there were some reservations with regards to the density. So we came back with a plan that you see here before you, which is the R3, and it has 103 lots. I think James, maybe when we mentioned the numbers at what passed the Planning Commission, is actually 103 was what was shown in the plan, not the 130. I think that might have been mentioned, just for a point of reference. It is all single family. We had originally, part of the plans had shown townhouses, but again, Planning Commission sort of indicated that that might not be in keeping with what they felt was appropriate for the area. So we did look at going with single family homes. I would point out that about 29% of this property is set aside for community lots. So we see an opportunity here to gather walking trails for people to be able to utilize. You can see where we put some green spaces to sort of allow that interconnectivity of walking trails to be within the subdivision. Sidewalks would be installed as part of the development, and we would see some of these community lots
that would have walking trails that would be occurring in through here as well. We've looked at it from a standpoint of stormwater detention and feel that it would be certainly in keeping with the Georgia standards. I would also point out that one of the things that we've incorporated here, which is shown as a dark green area that runs along the perimeter of the property where we adjoin our neighbors, is that we have a 50-foot vegetative buffer. Now that number exceeds essentially, I think, what is required within the county ordinance, but we thought that it was in keeping with the intent. Again, what was told to us at the Planning Commission and communicated is that we wanted to provide some screening to the subdivisions around us. So, typically a rear setback is 25 feet. In this instance, you wouldn't have a house any closer, minimum at 50 feet, if not certainly more, given what we've got proposed in through here running around the perimeter. So, given that, we think that this plan is in keeping with the land use plan, and certainly at Planning Commission, and then also I think here this evening, no one has voiced any opposition. So anytime you have a rezoning case and not have opposition, that's a good thing. I can tell you, having done the South Broad Street, Chattanooga, and the high-end grocery, I've heard opposition to the nth degree. It's nice to come down and have an opportunity to give a presentation, not have opposition. So with that, if there's any questions, be happy to answer them.
What would this be comparable to, any existing subdivisions or?
The one that presently would be closest to this point and is not open at this point is, there was one that was approved off of Warren Road that's presently under construction. That would be one. In terms of sizes comparable to the area, Heritage Woods in terms of size kind of comes to mind in some regards. The difference is at Heritage Woods, when we did that plan years ago, it was sort of before community lots became something that people wanted to see. At that time, it was sort of, and this is not to throw disparaging remarks towards that subdivision, but now we understand that there's a more sense of community where people want to see the community lots and have walking trails and have those things that they can get out and enjoy. So that would sort of be one, unless Boyd or somebody knows another one. That's sort of the only one that comes to mind.
There's no video that are 50-foot lots.
Heritage Woods, I think, has some smaller lots that were in through there. Also, they had townhouses, which again was not. What we started seeing is this. When I first started practicing engineering here in this area, we didn't do anything under hardly an 80 to 100-foot lot anywhere. Matter of fact, an 80-foot lot was pretty small. As time has gone on, we've seen the lots get smaller and smaller as people are not wanting to be maintaining the yards that they once did. And so I'll give you an example that what we're doing right now. If you're familiar with Cambridge Square in Littlewalk, we're doing a subdivision there. The homes will be in the $500,000 range. The lots, single-family lots, are 35 feet wide. $500,000 homes on 35. I thought I would never see that. And they are selling well. So I think what really needs to be looked at here is that the development trends have changed over what they were even 5 to 6, 7 years ago. The Great Recession that we went through, with what millennials now want, it's different. It's not the same type of developments that people once did back when I was first buying my home for the first time, or what people now were buying when my parents were buying. So I think what you're looking at now is not to get hung up necessarily on lot widths, but instead quality of development. What does it add to this? And then what are the price points of the homes going to be? And if that's in keeping and congruent with the community, then I see that as a good thing. If we stay stuck in the old ways, if you will, of 100-foot lots, or 80s, yeah, those, honestly, right now on our drafting board, we're probably doing close to 1,500 lots in Hamilton County, City of Chattanooga, Bray County, and other areas. Out of those 1,500 lots, over 1,000 are 50-foot to 60-foot wide lots. It's just that's what the trend is now. That's where we're headed. That's partly, again, why we looked at putting that 50-foot buffer running around the perimeter, to give that screening, because they are smaller. But with that screening through there, and that area being pretty wooded like it is, they might as well be mobile homes, if you will. You never see them. Yes, sir.
Has this done been checked out for sewer part of Chattanooga?
So, City of Chattanooga and the sewer, there is, as I'm sure some of y'all are aware, there's been some issues with regards to the consent decree that the City of Chattanooga is under. City of Chattanooga is working with City of Fort Oglethorpe as well as with City of Ringgold and getting the sewer capacity. So they are working towards getting those issues squared away as we understand it. I don't know that this is necessarily something that would hold this up. City of Fort Oglethorpe has got issues which we're still working through on another development. We recently got the one again off of Warren Road. That one was approved and went through the City of Chattanooga, and we got George EPD's approval. So I don't think sewer would be an issue on this one.
Have approval from Chattanooga on this one?
No, we have not applied. We didn't want to get the cart before the horse. We want to get the zoning.
Sometimes the card changes because you get approved and you can't get sewer, and we kind of went through a lot.
What we've understood in talking with the City of Chattanooga is that seeing that Ringgold is a little bit ahead of where Fort Oglethorpe is as it relates to the FOG program. So, again, don't anticipate an issue at this point.
I got another question for you. This your Moore Road, is that the old road still there? Okay. Are you gonna put some turning lanes out there in that curve?
So what we
Direction that curve a lot.
right. So what we've shown at this point is tying in at the end of the road. And if that's something that the commission decides that might be a condition to add, we would certainly look at that. Obviously, we want to create something that would be safe, not something that would be dangerous.
James, one question I got for you. On the houses, what costs on these houses are we looking at? Maybe you mentioned that. If you're looking at 100,000, 300,000, or how much?
190 for the
Approximately 200.
And James, on the, one of my concerns was also on the road with these, would that road be brought up to standards, I mean, putting this much traffic?
It's my understanding that Mr. Lance has agreed to upgrade the road to county standards.
You know, like R3, is that not 10,000 square foot?
It is, yes, sir.
Because some of these like 6,200.
I'll let Mike touch on that.
Okay, yeah, thank you. What we told the planning commission is that we showed this is with the smaller lots. And subject to this body's approval, we would take it back before them and ask for a variance in lot size, which they can grant. So we went ahead and showed what the final plan would be. We didn't want to go in with a plan to them or you and say, here's 10,000 square foot lots, please approve our R3, and then come back and ask for a variance. We wanted to be up front and show you on the outset that the plan is to go R3 and go with smaller lots, and we will go back before the planning commission and ask for a variance.
If, say, the variance, the committee, that will turn to town, would this continue, or would this kill the project?
It would kill the project because it would do two things. It would kill the project just due to the fact that the economics no longer work, but it would leave in place an R3 zone and the 10,000 square foot minimum lot size.
How many acres is this sitting on?
There is a total of 38.2, I think is what it shows in the total. Is that right?
38.2.
The total development.
Total area of the site.
52.
Okay. Our site analysis shows 38 for the total site and the total community lot, so that's why I was just one there. So you're right at about 50 acres.
I see here where it's 38.2, and then we're being told it's 50.
And then 11 going to.
I think 11 is what the community acreage is, and then the rest of it there is the actual area that's sort of being developed, if you will. So it's the 50 acres.
James, the school system looked at this, I know that's one of our keys.
At the last planning commission meeting, Mike Scholl was absent from that meeting. So he is the school board representative for the planning commission. He was at the previous meeting,
Anybody else have any more questions?
Well, the only problem I have is being R3 is just the size of the lots. To be quite frank, the plan was great, it was well done, I compliment Mr. Lance on that. But 50-foot lots to me just seems off, it seems like we're squeezing a lot of people into a small area.
We are, and that's the way that the development trends are heading. But that's where we end up coming in with almost a third of the acreage then being set aside in community lots. It's almost, if you will, one of those conservation easement type developments, where you cluster everything together and then you put the community space aside. If you were to just try to develop the whole thing and not put any community space, we might be close to that 100-foot, lot width, or 80-foot lot width, that would be in through there. But that's really just not the development trends of the day.
You're familiar with Mountain Creek Farms? Would this be similar to that off Mountain Creek in Chattanooga?
Mountain Creek Farm.
It's just south of, it's just right underneath Signal Mountain.
There's one off Mountain Creek Road, if the one that I'm thinking of near, Highway 27 in through there. It would be similar in size.
Is there, very close?
That's correct, and they're about 50-foot wide lots. The difference between that is this, between those two developments. One is the topography is such that and we actually did the engineering on that one. The topography on that one rises towards the back. And so what happens is there is only a 10-foot landscape strip there that runs along the road, which really makes it difficult to screen it, if you will, from the other residents that live in that area. Here you have 50 feet, so there's a marked difference. And the other thing is that the topography is such as that this doesn't rise 50, 60 feet above the other residents. We're basically at about the same elevation. So given that, it's almost like if your neighbor puts up a fence and you can't see what's behind the fence, you don't know what's going on behind that fence, and it really has no impact to you as long as it's not a lot of loud music or stuff going on.
Is the community lot, is it, a lot of that, is that not in some of that in the floodway?
Some of it's in the floodplain that's in through that way. There is some areas in through there that are potentially wetlands as well. So we try to look at being sensitive as it relates to both of those issues. So yes, I think that that's true. But we see what we've tried to develop in through here. If you look at where these retention ponds are located, we're not looking at constructing dry ponds. Done this for a lot of years, built a lot of ponds and designed them over the years. It's really hard to make a dry pond pretty. It's just about impossible. It's like putting, the old saying goes, it's like putting lipstick on a sow. It's just not going to look good. But what we've looked at trying to do instead, and it helps for water quality as well, is go with wet ponds, retention ponds. You can put a fountain in through there, you can put a walking track around it, and now all of a sudden it's a draw. People want to be walking around through there. They see the geese flying in, they see the ducks, they see, abilities to fish, and put piers off those. You can do a lot of different things with those.
And all this area will be maintained and mowed and all that direction.
Some of it would be mowed and maintained. Now, some of it's going to be left in natural states where you don't want to do anything to it. But the areas where people would be able to walk and go through and enjoy the area, yes, you'd want to have those areas that would be maintained by the homeowners association.
This, like that pond there at the very bottom here, it's real close to the creek.
We do get close. We also get close to the interstate right of way. But the creek has a 25-foot buffer that we would certainly maintain and stay away from. The only area that might be impacted there would be where the outfall pipe comes from here going into the creek, but that's allowed by the state.
Anybody else got anything to add?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion if we can table this to the next meeting and get with the school system since it happened. I mean, if this is large, and I know the schools, several of the schools have already maxed out on the students, and since the representative wasn't there, we can get with Ms. Reese, and just to make sure, I'm not even sure if this is going to be zoned for grades 4 or 1s, and it's kind of, that's kind of a split between the two. So that would be my motion.
I'll second that, I'm going along with Jim.
The motion is to table it till the next meeting here.
Yes.
Or you can get with Dina, school board, or mine.
Can I make I know it's out of order and I apologize. Can I make just maybe a suggestion moving forward? If that's going to be an important issue, then if he's not at those meetings, then it would seem like it's imperative upon him to get some sort of question of that brought to the board, because 4 members out of 5 voted yes.
I don't disagree, but it is a poor thing to make sure our schools are loaded up.
And I agree, and not disagreeing.
I think we can afford 2 weeks to make sure our schools are.
Sometimes though, because of other issues as it relates to contracts and also timing and trying to get permits and others, that can be a problem. So I just, again, just wanted to bring that out. Thank you.
Yeah, and I understand that, and the same token, I think, and it would probably be wise too, is on the sewer system, because I know Fort Overlook's got 4 or 5 that's been held up now for 2 months, so there's been a lot of changes even in, and I think a lot of it is administration that's changed at Chattanooga. You got a new manager.
There are a number of new players
There
there.
are issues up there that they're not sure about, I think.
Yeah, that's correct, sure.
So,
Yes, sir.
What I like to see, I like to see the true sewer, but we come, there ain't a problem with having sewer system.
you think you can get a preliminary letter in the next 2 weeks from Chattanooga?
It's possible, but again, I'm not trying to lecture, so don't take this the wrong way. I know, I'm trying, that's why I want to make sure I preface that. But sewer is a secondary issue from zoning. You've got to get your zoning first. So let's just say, for the sake of discussion, I can't get a letter. At some point, there will be a letter, because the sewer issue will be worked out. Now, if that means that the project gets delayed 6 to 8 months, so be it.
But if you put yourself in our shoes, say we approve the zoning, can't get the letter, I'll end up selling the property, we'll get another developer to come in that's not responsible. That's what y'all are doing, and we're kind of opening the door for our liability as well.
The only thing is that keep in mind is that zoning is never contingent upon who owns the property. Contingent runs with the land, whether it's sold or kept. So decisions typically, what I see is, are based upon, do the facts merit the zone, irrespective of who the party is. And I understand that there's good players, there's bad players. I understand that. But I think that if it meets with the comprehensive land use plan, that, again, if it's 6 or 8 months down the road, a year down the road, it's really not, as I see it, it's not tied with the zoning. That's a development issue.
If he's not asking for American, zone 3, taxes, it will not be an R3 tax.
Yeah, R3 with RTZ rules.
Then maybe what we would do then is, again, I will try to get the letter. I'm not saying I'm not going to try to get the letter, but if I can't get the letter, we could certainly preface that before we go back before Planning Commission, we would have that letter.
I think, to your question there, Mr. Johnson, is that when we did it, we would approve it, it would be 10,000 square lots. Right. We approved it with R3 until they went to board variance.
Well, if I might, I just would point out that I think an efficient way to address your concerns is if you were to vote, we still go back to the Planning Commission, we've got to get those variances, and you could make conditions of, the zoning, that we get the sewer approval, and that, we're addressing the school concerns at that time. So development's still not going forward until we get those approvals through the Planning Commission.
But it would then be R3, and somebody could come in and build 10,000 square lots. I mean, I personally would rather wait for the school, to know. So
this has been to the planning commission twice already. They were notified of this request. I think if they had concerns, they would have let you know and let us know.
Well, I've got no concern, they can't come to us.
Okay, we have a motion on the table, but I have a vote. The motion is you make, school board.
Table it to the next meeting and check with the school system, Mr. Producer Mike, and make sure the school system, whether we can fit this many students or.
Can you say this? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. James.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The next case is case number 1275-18, rezoning of tax map 11C parcel 30 from R1 to R3. The applicants Charles Shaver and Eugenia Bodine have requested the property located off of Claire Lee Drive be rezoned from R1 to R3. The Planning Commission met in regards to the case on June 26th and did grant the request 4-0.
We have anybody here for or against on this matter? I'm for it. Mind telling us more about it, please? What is it exactly you want to do?
Our plan, ultimately, while my family's growing, and our plans to ultimately move, that property has had multiple new homes built at the bottom of it that are on smaller lots, and so the goal is to split the lot in half, sell the bottom lot, and then sell the house. That's a separate thing.
Thank you. James, everything?
It's a larger lot, but it's now has sewer access, so they're able to divide it in half basically and develop our
Still
access.
meet the guidelines of R3.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. James?
The next case is case number 1277-18, rezoning of tax map 33, parcel 5A from A1 to R1. The applicant, Heather Hinkle, as the trustee, has requested the property located off Culver Hollow Road be rezoned from A1 to R1. I believe they plan on dividing the property and building her mother a home on the property and them a home on the property. The Planning Commission did meet in regards to the case on June 26th, and it was granted 4-0.
Anyone here for or against on this matter? Do y'all have any questions? How many homes do we build on it?
Well, there's one existing. I believe they first want to build another home or them a home, and then eventually replace what's on there with a new home as well.
If you want to come forward, you're more than welcome.
Come on now.
That's entirely up to you. Since you're in favor of it, you might want to.
My mother is moving in with us, and so we need a larger place. My dad passed away in November, and so we need a larger home. She's going to need 24-hour care. So we're going to put a larger home on the 2nd acre, and then eventually pay that the home that's there now off and have it torn down. But there's just nothing we can do with the land. It's a turf pit, so we can't grow anything. Can't have cows. So.
Thank you. Do we have a motion? Motion.
Second.
All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
The next case is case number 1279-18, rezoning of tax map 10B, parcel 14 from A1 to C1. The applicants, Brick and Bernard Brown, have requested the property located off Scruggs Road be rezoned from A1 to C1. This is in a corridor along I-75 where most of the property is commercial anyway.
Directly across my drag strip,
Very, very close. It's just the opposite side of I-75 from the drag strip. Yes, sir. The Planning Commission did meet in regards to the case on June 26th and granted the request 4-0. I believe there was another case on this last month on the property right next door, and it was rezoned to signal.
Anybody here for or against on this particular case? They say what they want to do with it,
I haven't heard yet. It's a smaller lot.
or 0.66.
So I'm not quite sure. I haven't heard anything on future development yet.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any commissioner comments at this time?
Okay, no, I'm just gonna say zoning cases are always very hard, because what you're trying to do is be fair and represent not only the citizens of the county, but also the individuals involved, so. Well, what we do try to do is be consistent with that, and sometimes people are frustrated because of it, and we're sorry for that, but we just want to make sure we do the right thing for the county.
Shirley, thank you again for your work with the Lions Center. Appreciate it very much. All right, at this time, we're going into executive session for legal and personnel. Clerk?
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cutler?
Yes.
Chairman Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Winters?
Yes.
Commissioner Long?
Yes.
Executive session. Thank you,
We're all set back on.
We put one of these so they.
You can sit with us.
All right, at this time,